Hello, family. My name is James Trice, and I'm the creator of a podcast called YANA, or You Are Not Alone. You Are Not Alone is a podcast for Black men. It is more than just a podcast. It's a lifeline and a brotherhood. We're here to create a supportive, judgment-free space where Black men can have real, open conversations about what truly matters to us, from family and relationships to community, sports, culture, politics, faith, sex, race, education, and the challenges of everyday life. We dive deep into it all. Whether you're looking for advice, motivation, prayer, or just the comfort of knowing you're not walking this journey alone. YANA is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone. Look for new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts. And look for me on Instagram at jbtrice123. Welcome to YANA. Grace and peace, everyone. Welcome to this new episode of YANA. You Are Not Alone, a place, a safe, judgment-free space for Black men to talk uncensored about the issues that we care about the most. It's a space for us to be real, to be honest, to be listened to be heard, and to walk this journey of life together, because we're never meant to do life alone. So thank you for joining this episode of You Are Not Alone. And today's guest is a friend of mine that I grew up with, Anthony Murphy. And so I want, Anthony, thank you for coming to the show. Briefly introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about you, and what you want them to know.
Hello, my name's Anthony Murphy. I am 60-year-old, almost coming up in August. I thank God every day, when I wake up for being at this age. Father of 5, son, brother, friend, nephew, comrade, and I'm United States Marine Corps Marine. Because once Marine, always a Marine. There's no such thing as an ex-Marine. So I also am a Microsoft, probably safe, full stack developer, developing several different languages for Microsoft's platform. The beauty in it is I get to work from home. I don't have to go into an office. I haven't been doing that for at least the last 25 years. So
wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, so it's one of those things I tell people: when God gives you a gift, you better learn how to use it. And at this point, it became a tool. It's a tool that allows me to live a certain, what they say, have a better quality of life. So that's me. I'm the person that's trying to constantly and consistently improve as a human, but more at a higher level as a spiritual being.
Okay. Well, thank you. Man, I see the beautiful car in your background. I think we talked about that before we got on the air. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
I'm
looking at this.
I also can't turn the camera around. I wish I had another one I'd be able to show you guys. I have a digital studio. I'm also a / music producer, old school style, and I also know how to build car motors and work on old school cars. My grandfather was the person that got me into working on cars. He was the shade tree mechanic. My grandfather, James Murphy, Benny from back in the day, working on it. So I'm one of those dudes. It's a fast and furious thing too. I'm trying to pull a Willie. It's probably gonna have 100 shot or 50 shot of nitrous on it. The motor that I'm building to go into it is gonna probably hold anywhere between 500 and 600 horsepower, just for old school purposes. Because I'm a hot rod. I love hot rods. I love the speed. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you seem to have a lot of gifts and abilities and talents. I mean, you were in Marine Corps. You worked on cars. You're a mechanic. You a music producer. All of that. I know you've done some work with a music group, Mint Condition, and did some work with them. of all of these things, man, you are multi-talented, brother. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
What are you most passionate about? What brings you joy and satisfaction?
Um, not to say the least. Again, I think me and you, when I emailed you, I had replied to you that day. I was talking to you when you called me. Music, music brings me joy. Music brings me happiness. Music brings me peace. Music is the most enlightening thing that I ever think I've ever gotten myself involved in, and I understand it
Hmm.
where you can when a songwriter writes a song or someone else writes a song and they give it to someone and they sing the song, the
Hmm.
arrangement of the vocals, the arrangement of the chorus, the bridge, the hook, there's a science to it. It's not we're just listening to music and someone just was like, I'm gonna write this song. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and that's my passion. um, it's been my passion ever since I was a kid. Um, yeah, it's really been my passion ever since I was a kid. I also have, I think, um, one of the probably I'm the only person I know that has maybe about 10,045 records. I probably have over 200 albums, 200 probably a good six or 7,000 45s, and probably 100 gigs worth of MP3 that I have sitting on these drives that are SSD drives. So they're electronic
Wow.
state drives. So I'll never lose the music because, unless there's well, we get hit by Russia and they do some sort of magnetic cataclysmic thing. But other than that, music is my passion. Music is
Wow.
truly my passion. Um, Step away, I'll steal it. I keep stuff sitting by me. So I'm teaching myself. If you can see this, you can't. I don't know if you can see this because of the background.
Not really. Let's
Oh
see.
yeah,
I
background.
can see.
My
Yeah, the
bass
virtual
guitar.
background. Oh,
Yeah,
wow. So you
it's
play bass guitar?
yeah. I'm starting to learn. I knew how to play it, but I stopped because Rick, again, bass player from Mint Conditions, my best friend. So what was I
Rick,
supposed to
Rick,
do?
Rick, Rick, that's Kitchen, right?
Rick in Kitchen. Yep, yep,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So,
so if
so,
to tell people, to go back what you said, the one thing that we have to understand that God gave every single one of us a gift or two. You have to recognize that you have Him first of all, and then you have to recognize that you have it. It's
yes,
in you. You are,
that's right.
and a lot of the times for me, it just comes out. I don't have to have someone tell me to do this or to do that. It just kind of comes out. So,
Yeah,
and
and you're right, man. God does give every single one of us gifts to use, abilities to use, and sadly, a lot of us haven't found our gifts and our abilities. How did you realize that music and this thing was a passion, that this is something that you wanted to do? How did that come to be?
oh man, you're asking a 6 or 7 year old kid. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. But my mom would always tell me as a kid, we had those big console stereos, right? With the disco lights and the FM dial, the AM dial over in it. And I would just stand over there and look at the records, the 45s and the albums go round and round and round. And
Hmm.
then as I think one day I started to realize my ears were ringing, and
Hmm.
I couldn't understand why my ears were ringing. And
Hmm.
all of a sudden, I was probably a 6 or 7 year old kid telling my mom I hear music in my head. Now you know what ended up happening to me. To tell you the honest to God's truth, I got in trouble for that because they told me I was crazy, and
Hmm.
um, and that was the thing. Again, we have to deal with when we have those generational things. We have that our ancestors and our senior people and our don't understand. And it's one of those things too where um I'm gonna actually answer the third person. This is the third part of your question. which is what am I most concerned about right now? Personally,
Yeah. What do you,
personally,
okay.
it's because to me, I see a lot of things for personally on my level where my family members didn't pick up on that. They had no clue how smart I was. I was the only person in my family that's ever played 4 or 5 different instruments. I'm the only person that's been a self-taught keyboardist pianist, you know. And I think to answer your question, what drove me to it was because I didn't see anybody else doing anything with their lives. And I was like, either I had to set my mind I was going to become a TV cameraman or weather forecaster, or I was just going to be behind the scenes as a producer. And, at the third or fourth grade at our age, we went to I was going to grad school. I had
I
Miss
remember
Deere
that.
as a teacher, right? Miss Deere,
I
right?
remember Miss Deer. Yes.
Yeah. So we had little,
Yes.
you know,
Woo.
we brought in the little instruments, pick out an instrument you want to play. Man, why I grabbed clarinet. So I played the clarinet for a year. Then that was like, nah, back in the day, we gotta understand something. My favorite group of all time, and still will be my favorite group of all time, is Earth, Wind, and Fire. Once I heard
Woo.
Earth, Wind, and Fire horns, I'm like, this ain't gonna get me no action. Ain't nobody gonna move me in they band playing this clarinet. Well, the deal is if you play a clarinet, any of those woodwind instruments, guess what? All you got to do is flip your hands down. Same keys.
Mm.
So I learned how to play the saxophone at a drop. So I played the E flat, tenor, and baritone. I didn't play the soprano, but I got a soprano also here in my home. I have a soprano
Wow.
saxophone. Um, Personally, the thing that bothers me is we live in a society where people don't follow their own lead. They're following someone else's lead. They want to
Mm-hmm.
be, I want to look like this. I want to have this. I want to dress like this. I want to wear this. And all of those things that you look at when you're looking at someone else, it's their character, it's not yours. So literally, long story short, that's what I wanted my character to be formed by, my own character. So I've never actually, to be honest, looked at another man and really said something, I want to be like that. I've never done that.
Wow.
I've never done that. I mean, again, you could ask, we could, talk like Devolia. She was the one that divulged, like, you've been really, I set a presence at an early age that I was going to be this. I was going to be that. I didn't have a hero in my mind of who I wanted to be. I never had a hero. Someone I looked up to. And that's one of the things personally that bothers me right now is the Black man experience. We all grew up, the majority of us that I know of, I mean, you had this discussion that a lot of us have just been growing up in single family mothers' homes. I had a young lady say to me the other day that she was the mom. Oh, if she had a child and that child passed away, she was really angry at God, and she's never been in a solid relationship or had another child since then. But I was like, maybe your anger is what's blocking you from God. But at this point, she was telling me she would go and adopt, and a woman could raise a child. I could raise a man. I'm like, only maybe to a certain point, but there's no way in this world that you could tell any boy, especially a young Black man, a young Black boy that's been in the system. Either you're talking about an adoption or foster care, and maybe not adopting a baby. You're gonna need a man with all the things
Mm.
that go on in this world right now, it's not, it's like you said, Blacknificent is on your t-shirt. I think that
Yes.
is the most beautiful statement because you know what? When you walk up and you see me, you already know I'm made of excellence. And that's the
Thank you.
thing. A Black man has to instill these core values in there. You know, we instill these core values in our children. You know, mine, don't, your last name is Murphy. You represent me. Unfortunately, the first two, their mom didn't name them Murphy, but they know who their dad is. And you know by my son that you see at church, he
Yeah.
represents me.
Yes, he
Everything that
does.
I am, it is in him. You know, the same thing with me. Got everything that's with, I try to make sure that everything in me is from my father, which is God, you know. Um, I I think one of the things me and you could probably have a discussion. One of the, I see now the Black male experience. One of the things, the most challenging thing about being a Black man in America specifically, why?
So
Identity.
you're going to go forward to ask the questions that I have, right?
Identity
What is
crisis.
the most challenging thing? Wow. Okay.
Identity.
Okay.
Identity.
Talk
Our
about that. I
identity.
mean,
Our
like, what do you
identity.
mean? Be more
Our
specific.
identity. Be more specific. Our identity as a man. How do I see myself and how you see me is totally different things.
Right.
How do I see myself, how the world sees me is totally two different things as well.
Right.
Okay.
So how do you
So
think then our identity is shaped? What shapes and informs how we think about ourselves?
the
What do
things
you
we've
think?
been through, the things,
Okay.
again, it goes back to our experience as a child, as a young man, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s, you know, right now we're in our late 50s or early 60s, right? So
Yes.
that's formed us over the time period of the last 60 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I did I identically what describes you as a person is, you know, your upbringing, how you carry yourself, how do you see the world, what is your spiritual beliefs and understanding, um, you know, that and also the other thing is education. If you're not educated on any level with any of those things, then your Black male experience is going to be difficult
Mm-hmm. I
because
mean, because we have examples, right?
yeah, we have,
Society, the media, right? Uh,
yes,
try to tell us or form this view of Black men
Black men, right,
that is false, right? This false
right,
narrative of Black men,
right.
this perception of Black men as super athletes or what else? Um, criminality is associated with us as Black men. Do you think uh,
Deadbeat dads,
societies and the media
society.
plays a big a role in that? And
Yes,
how do
because
we
you know why?
counteract it?
Because we fall victim to them. But that's just that's just what I call the genocidal part of it. Because
Mm,
society, TV, news, social media doesn't play us out to be good Black men. We're not. We come from the history of. I'm gonna just say this: drugs, pimping hoes, and slamming Cadillac doors. Right.
mm. Say that again.
Then pimping hoes and slamming Cadillac doors.
Mm.
That's what we're supposed to be. That's the era we're supposed to come from.
Well, that's what
And
they typecast. That's what they
that's what
typecast us as
they
being,
typecast.
right?
Yeah,
That's all we
deadbeat
are.
dads,
Yep.
deadbeat
Yes.
dads. And he got five, 10 kids and four baby mamas. You know. Also, unfortunately, we fall into that typecast. I'm sorry, we do, but I'm not sorry because you knew better.
No, it's real, right?
It's
But
real. We
how do
fall.
we counteract it? How do we counteract that? How do we counteract the false narratives that has been uh, the false narrative about us? How do we counteract the false narratives that have been projected about us as black men?
Well, the
All
one
the
thing that
negative false narratives that all of us are super athletes or superheroes. We all have 4 or 5 different kids that we're not taking care of. If we've done any good, it's about ill-gotten gain, right? If we've
right,
accomplished anything,
right,
we either have to be an athlete, right? We're not smart enough, right? Those are all of the perceptions that society portrays about us as black men. And some of us, a lot of us, more than some of us, I think, more than what society would like to portray or like to really affirm, is that most of us have not fallen into those false stereotypes, those false narratives about us. But that's not the projection that society wants to put
see,
forth,
in here.
right?
Yeah, they don't want to see it here. But the funniest thing is it's happening now. But you say how? Well,
How do we counteract it?
the same platform that they are on, spreading the bad news is the same platform we need to be on, counteractive.
Yes.
You know, we
So
need
in
to
our music, in our
in
in
our
our
in our mute
stuff you do.
right in our music. You know, you're doing a great podcast. There's another brother that I really like, Willie Moore Jr. Is doing a podcast. Now, this is one of these things that is big, like what you're doing, and the audience. In order to get like anything, it's like in order to get exposure, you have to market yourself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to go get a job interview, right? You have to be on this, like you're interviewing me right now. This is like me doing a job interview. So what do before you get into this platform? You have to have the things like you're saying. We have to have the good and the bad to talk about it. But what is the solution? We have solutions in place, and we need to more or less the thing that I think we do have our problem
Right.
still as Black people coming
Mm-hmm.
in one coming in on the same accord. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I see it now. The coolest thing I like about it is I like being here because I know some brothers that are really trying to do things like the
Mm-hmm.
STEM program. Kevin and Jonathan, you know, the guy that I was doing the radio show with, they
Mm-hmm.
got some big wigs together from the city of Atlanta, the MARTA bus thing, and they got this. And Microsoft kicked in
Mm-hmm.
to set up a class and for the summer for these kids. So it's stuff like that we need to be able to find an outlet besides having our children, having our young men, the Black male experience, seeing that okay, everybody, you know, what they see is not true. This is not
Mm-hmm.
true. Fortunately for me, myself, is my kids get to see something other than a Black man that's been their dad being a Black man that's been successful, you know. And I've owned my own businesses. I'm, you know, again, in the music business, being a present father, not with presents, not just saying, okay,
Thank you.
you know,
Right.
on your birthday or no. And also the presence, meaning being responsible. As a Black man, we still, for the rest of our lives, always have to be responsible for our kids.
Yep.
Well, that's the one thing that's, you know, because that they say, you know, your mom's still alive, right?
Yes.
You call
Yes,
your
she
mom,
is.
don't you?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Oh, see, you say,
All the
oh yeah,
time. All the time. I
asking
call
your,
my mom all the
ask,
time.
wait, okay,
And,
but
and maybe
asking,
not as much as I should, right?
but
Maybe I
wait,
should call her
but
once a
wait,
week, but I call her
right?
often. Yes,
You call
all
her
the time.
often, yeah, but
And still
listen,
mom.
where's your,
Yes.
is your pops alive still?
No.
Okay, question would be, is if your pops was alive, would you call him just the same amount of time as much as you called your dad? Your mom.
Would I would I call him
Would,
just as much as?
yeah,
Yes, I would. Even though they weren't together, they separated before I was
yeah,
even born. I still
right.
saw
But again,
him. He
think
wasn't he,
about
he wasn't the father that I would like him to, I like would have liked him to be.
Right.
right? There were some things that I didn't like, but I
Me
still
either.
called him. I still reached out to him on his birthday. When he got married again, I went to his
Oh, right.
wedding,
Okay.
that
Now
kind of
that was
thing.
a trick. That was a trick question. So the gist of it is you. There's a lot of us. There's a lot of black men. Men. There's a lot of young black men that don't have their dads. They don't have a dad.
Nope.
They don't have an uncle. They don't have. They don't have that support system that we we had. I had that. My dad, even though he wasn't my dad, he was my support. He was my. That was my hero.
Yeah.
That was my hero.
But right. But
So
my dad wasn't, he wasn't a support system to me. I'll
yeah,
just
he
be
wasn't.
honest
But
with you.
see, you learned
But
from that, and you
yes.
became a better man. And then when you had your children, I know you,
Yes.
my brother. You standing like they say. You standing on business about your kids.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, what I did, bruh, was like when I saw what my father did, what I like to say to people was um that the only thing my father taught me really was what not to do. What I mean by that is the things he did I didn't like. So I committed in my mind that I'm not going to do the things he did. For me, I'm going to do the opposite for my children. So I was always there. I was always there, have always been. I'm still always there for my kids. They're older now,
Mhm.
34, 35. My daughters are, my son has passed away of cancer. He did passed away like 15 years ago or so. My son, but always there for my kids. My kids are all by one woman, one mother who I'm still with. We've been married 30, going on 39 years now. And I was committed to doing the opposite of what I saw my father doing, and doing that for my kids.
Right.
Now I grow to like, okay, let me get to know this guy, and I don't know what reasons he had for doing it, but what I didn't want to do is go through life resenting him and hating him. I let go of that, and I forgave him, and didn't resent him any longer. But still, he wasn't what I wanted him to do. But let me say this: most of us as men, right, we value discipline, right, sincerity, responsibility, honesty. We believe in following through on our commitments, right? We believe that uh, we can be strong without being violent, right? That we can be tough and compassionate without being perceived as, and without fear of being perceived as weak, right? We believe those things, right? That's most
Right.
black men. So when you talk about identity crisis, right, and how our identity is shaped by the things that we interact with, the things that how we grew up, right? How what we were taught to believe, and those kinds of things shape our identity. And society that plays a large role in shaping our identity. The media and the perceptions, the false perceptions that society paints about us. Right, the we are a figment of their imagination,
Right.
and that we have to work to counteract that, because that's not the images that I just mentioned that are
That's true.
lifted up as valuable and projected into society, because they always want to see us as less than and as ministers to society. We got a few minutes left here, and what do you think is the solution, right? Or let me ask this. I want to ask that. Let me ask this question. This is a better question. What do you think is the most rewarding thing about being a black man is? What do you think is the most rewarding thing about being a black man?
Most rewarding thing about being a black man is I can't even come up with something, but all I got to say is the song, not the song that Kendrick Lamar said, but they're not like us. Now, no matter how
Mm,
bad you beat us down, no matter how bad you talk about us, no matter how bad you treat us, the one thing that we're always going to do is we're going to survive.
yes.
We've been through slavery. We've been through um,
Jim
um,
Crow.
Jim Crow. Hang on, I
Right.
got something for you. We've been once again. That's like I said, we've been through pimping hoes and slamming Cadillac. Those the '70s. Um, the Martin. Once again, Martin Luther King. Marching. The other thing too is the crack era, Reaganomics.
Mm,
All right,
mm,
we've been through
mm.
these. So I want to say in turn, maybe I reference bad stuff, but look at how strong we are. And then once we
Yes.
start to recognize how strong we are and what we've been through, and starts to form a coalition and say, hey, we've already been through this. Let's show we maybe have like the channel you have, the platform, and which is what you're doing right now. This will help someone. Oh, I didn't have my dad. I didn't have this. Oh, these guys love their kids. What we are doing is the example of what it means to be a black man. You know,
Yes.
and I love it. I love being a black man. I
Me too,
love.
brother.
I
Me
I
too,
don't think
brother.
I want to be any other skin. You
Me,
know what
me
I'm saying?
neither, brother. I
I'm like
know.
I'm good. I'm good.
No, brother. I'm good. I thank God that he did that. There's an old
Me
There's an
too.
African proverb, and I can't remember what part of the continent it's from, but it says they thought they buried us, but they didn't realize we were seeds.
Right. Oh, that's
Think
good.
about that. They thought they buried us, but they didn't realize we were seeds. And
Right.
society tries to bury us, man, but we continue to grow. To me,
Grow.
that's the most
Exactly.
continue to grow, continue to stand strong, man, continue to enjoy life, even with all of the tragedy around us. That's
Right. And
God,
that's it.
brother.
That is. That's what I
Right?
said. Thank you. You just said
All of the things we
all
went
of those
through,
things we've went
right?
through, and we're still standing. We're still here. But it
Still
is.
standing.
We're still
Yes.
standing. And then the other part as a black man to add to it then is for us to recognize we come from the most highest being, the most highest power. And evidently, don't get me wrong, I was sitting here, take, you can't make, you can't, nothing comes from white. Woo! White is a mixed
Brother,
color. You
brother.
can't,
See, you can ready to get into something right now that we don't even have time for. I got to call you back on the
yeah,
show. So I want to
yeah.
end with this because
Have
I
me
know where
back
you're
on
going with
there.
this. I know
Yeah.
where you're going with this because I
Yeah,
can go there with you and I
and
want
that's
to
the
go there with
building
you.
part to add
Well,
on to you asked me what is it like to build be a black man. So have me back, and we're going to talk about bricks and building blocks.
let's
You
do
know,
that.
use
Let's do that.
use that
Let me
as
ask you this question. So, uh, as we end today, as we close this episode of Yana, what final words would you like to share with black men listening to us right now? And then, lastly, what's a favorite quote or a book or song that motivates you, that inspires you?
my own personal quote. I tell my children. You said a quote, so I was going to say, be inspired by your circumstances are only temporary. They do not define your future.
Hmm.
That's me. I wrote that myself. Your
I
circumstances
like that.
are temporary. They do not define your future. The song that I like the most is probably the Roy Ayers song. My life, I got several versions of.
Right.
Uh, Everybody loves the sunshine. My life,
Sunshine. My life.
my life,
Yes. Oh my
sunshine.
God. That brings back so
Yeah,
many
I'm
memories.
actually
Wow.
gonna
The
I'm gonna
sunshine.
send you the
Did it?
I'm gonna send you the
Did
jazz
it?
link from that one on the YouTube. I listen to that every day. Book wise, I can only say my favorite book probably and always will be and possibly is forever the Bible. It was it was
Mm.
I was reading computer books. I was reading music theory books. I'm reading muscle car books. How to build a 572 big block and get
Right.
1,500 horsepower. When God called me when through my incident 3 years ago, it was like I started reading. I discovered between the Old Testament and the New Testament, there was 400 years of silence. I'm like, woo! Um, the reading when Moses led the Israelites away from Pharaoh. Why are
Out
you
of Egypt.
complaining when he didn't split the Red Sea and you didn't see this? That book, I'm like,
But
why?
brother,
Why?
I,
And then
I know, right?
that journey was only supposed to take 11 days, and it took what, 2
Mhm.
years? Oh, come on,
Brother,
man.
I know. I see. So now you're getting again. You got to come back on the show, bro. You got to come back.
Okay,
I got
man.
to end with this, man. So I
Okay.
want to thank you, brother, for
Thank you
joining
for
me
having
on
me.
this episode of Yana, man. I really appreciate you, man, and we're definitely gonna have you come back, and we're gonna delve deeper into some of this that you began to now put in my mind,
Okay.
and they're like, okay, I need to talk more about this. So I really appreciate you, man.
Right.
So thank you
Appreciate you
again, and
having me on, bro.
thank you, audience, for joining us again. Thank
Thank
you
you.
again for joining this episode of You Are Not Alone, Yana. And remember, we're not meant to do life alone. Grace and peace, everyone, and see you next time.
Okay, bro.
Yana is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone.